for action investigation. A 31-year-old woman who admits to sex with a 13-year-old boy and then becoming pregnant with his child won't face any jail time under a plea deal with prosecutors.
11 Call for Action investigative reporter Matt Kroschel is joining us live tonight. Matt, 31-year-old Andrea Serrano was facing sexual assault charges, but accepted this new plea deal to stay out of prison.
Adam, Serrano gave birth to a baby boy. She admitted to having sex with that 13-year-old. The victim's mother, who we're not going to identify in this story, tells us she is not happy with this deal offered to a woman she says ruined her son's life.
I feel like my son's robbed of his childhood. Now he's having to be a father. He's a victim, and he's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life.
This mother says watching her son struggle with the reality he now faces breaks her heart. What has this been like for your son?
It's caused him a lot of depression. He's shut down a lot.
Now she questions why this woman won't face prison time.
I feel like if she was a man and he was a little girl, it would definitely be different. They would be seeking incarceration. And I feel like because she's a woman, they're not. They're having compassion for her because she was pregnant. But I don't think they take into play, again, she was pregnant by a child. You know, that child was created from a sexual abuse.
Under terms of the plea deal the suspect signed off on, she'll be required to register as a sex offender, and the judge could sentence her to 10 years to life of sex offender intensive supervised probation. But Serrano will avoid any jail time since the DA's office dropped the original charges to a lesser charge that does not come with mandatory jail time. What should other parents be looking for?
Don't trust anybody, honestly. I mean, you can't trust anybody now.
The victim's family says they are looking for the next steps in this case, and they'll actually ask the courts to give custody to the 13-year-old of this baby. Adam and Lindsay, what we do know is that Serrano has a hearing coming up in May where she will learn how much probation time she'll have. Currently, Serrano has full custody of the baby. Back to you.
Okay, we'll follow up on that case. Matt, thank you.
If this chick was a white woman, I would have definitely put her in the Operation Protect the White Boy series, White Woman Edition for sure, and she would be a candidate for the white woman sector of that category of this series for the year. But because she is not, I can't put her there. But trust and believe, she definitely is getting a lot of protection. Let me just first off state that they said that she's not getting any jail time after admitting to having sex. Let's put that to the side for a second. She did not just have sex with this boy. She violated this boy. Y'all know what I mean when I say the word violated. You know what word I'm replacing that with. She violated this boy. When I hear this story, I immediately think of Mary Kay Letourneau. Like, this thing lines all up and down, side to side with Mary Kay Letourneau, because I think she was in her 30s when she got her student, who I believe was also 13 at the time, when she got pregnant by him. The only difference between the two is that she's not a teacher. To my knowledge, she's not married and has a family like Mary Kay Letourneau did. She's not, but the only relationship that they seem to have been having was more of a sexual relationship, much like the one she was having. But that one was developing more into a boyfriend, girlfriend type of relationship. Like that story will ever be planted in my mind whenever I hear of stories like this. Now, in the audio, who you heard was a reporter talking to the mother of the boy. Now, before anyone asks, because I know some people are going to ask, was the boy black or anything like that? No. Now, the way I noticed is because when they were panning the camera, they caught the back of the mother's head because she didn't want to be on camera. But this was definitely a white woman. The boy's mother was definitely a white woman. So this boy, most likely, of course, is a white boy that this woman got pregnant by, or should I say, allowed herself to get pregnant by from this boy. And when the reporter had asked the mother, how does the boy feel right now? And when she said that he's depressed and he shut down, I'm not surprised that she said that, because I've heard other stories before where these older women practically groom these children, and they get pregnant by them, and they always ask them, how does the child feel? And they usually say they shut down. I think one story I did a while ago said that this woman got pregnant by this boy, and he ended up he had suicidal thoughts. He wanted to commit suicide. Now, this is where the gender thing kicks in, and the mother actually pointed it out. She said, had this been a grown man and a little girl, that person would have received jail time, and they would have called it what it was, which is violations. They did not call that with her. They just said she was having sex with them, as if this little boy was of age of consent, like as if he was 18 or older. They just called it like sex, like it was just, okay, it was just a run-of-the-mill thing, and they had sex with each other. No, she violated him. The boy is 13. She is 31. She knew better. She knew what she was doing. And she took advantage of that. She took advantage of her position as being an older person, as being a grown adult, and literally having, violating this child. And who knows what she was telling this child? She probably was telling him, it's all right. No one's going to find out. It's not what you think it is. Whatever you heard about it, don't believe it. Just listen to me. That's probably what she was doing. Look at her. Just like, look at her face. She looks completely off the chain. You mean to tell me there was not one person out there that you could have found to satisfy your needs that was in your age bracket or of age? You had to get it from a child and then get pregnant by this child. And now she's already given birth. So now this 13-year-old kid has a child himself from this grown older woman. And then she's out right now, and they said that she has full custody of the child. She has full custody of the child. I believe the mother of the victim is trying to fight to get custody of the child. They said she's due back in court in May for a probation hearing. She's not going to jail. That is the ultimate slap on the wrist. They got her charges that should have gotten her jail time reduced to like misdemeanors, not even felonies, especially since that's what she committed was a felonious crime. She has everything working in her favor. The only thing that really is punishment towards her is that she's going to have to register as a sex offender. Hopefully she stays on that sex offenders list for life. Hopefully it's a lifetime thing and not just a temporary thing that just lasts about the same amount of time or whatever probation she's going to receive. That's just a slap in the face. Bump us just a mere slap on the wrist. It's a slap in the face. And people want to talk about quote unquote women's rights and whatnot. Well, look at this. This is privilege right here. The privilege not to be labeled as a violator. The privilege not to go to jail for what you did. The privilege, to get pregnant by a 13-year-old that you clearly groomed and pretty much walk away from it unscathed. Just to have to get probation, to have custody of the child right now. Like, imagine that. Imagine, if she has any friends or family and they be like, oh, I didn't know you had a child. Like, where's the father at? What would she say? But it doesn't matter because her face is out there now. So they know now if they watch the news. I hope she is shamed for the rest of her life. And they need to watch for that child too, because the thing is, every time if she gets shamed, publicly or whatever the case may be, every time she looks at that child, she's going to look at the reason why she's being shamed. So they better be careful because who knows, she might try to pull a losing Isaiah and temporarily, not temporarily, but if you've seen the movie Losing Isaiah with Halle Berry, she might try to, or she might throw the child in the dumpster to get rid of her shame. But that's beside, but she's not going to do that because now you done tacked on homicide to your name. or attempted homicide if nothing happens to the child. But yeah, this is a very interesting story. But the fact of the matter is, I wish I could say I was shocked by this, but I'm not, because there are so many stories out there like that. Stories I've talked about, stories I haven't talked about. It's madness. From the situation itself to the outcome. The real victim in all this is the 13-year-old boy. And they're treating her like she's the victim. And she's far from it. She is the perpetrator. She is the orchestrator of this entire thing. And that's why it be killing me sometimes when I be seeing stories about teachers, like female teachers who be having sex with their students and everything like that. And I see people, especially a lot of men online, actually saying, I wish I had, like, this was what it was like with my teacher. Because, in school, some teachers, might look attractive to their students, and they might develop a crush. It happens. But as long as it doesn't go any further than that, okay, fine. Because at the end of the day, you can't help how you look. Genetics is a wild thing, but it is a thing nonetheless, as long as it didn't go any further than that. But it kills me when sometimes I see a lot of young men saying, oh, I wish back in the day, I was able to get with Miss So-and-so. I'm like, okay, be careful what you wish for, because if you get with Miss So-and-so and Miss So-and-so gets pregnant and you the father, then what? It's all fun and games when it's just, when y'all are just doing your thing behind the scenes. But guess what? If she gets pregnant, she decides not to get an abortion, and she starts showing, then they do DNA tests, and it comes back to you. Now what? Now look at what happens. Then it's like all fun and games turns into nightmares and turmoil. So I'm gonna just say, just be careful what you wish for, and just be glad that that the fantasy never left your head. And I'm talking about the head that sits on your shoulders.